Hi guys and girls. So I thought I'd do a video on basically showing you my audio setup because it's something I've been trying to do for ages, is make it so you have a hardware way of adjusting individual application volumes, which is really handy in stream. So I do Twitch streaming. It means you can kind of do it on the fly, just kind of turn up and down individual things. It all goes through this program called Voicemeeter, which is a great bit of kit by VB Audio. It's donationware, so I think you can get it for about £35 or $35, euros. Can't remember what the currency is, but yeah. So the way I've got it set up, I can basically, I've got my mic set to one channel. So as you can see, if I turn that down, I go really quiet. If I turn it up, I go really loud. If I hit the record button, it actually sends it to Twitch. So if I hit the record button, it stops sending to Twitch, which is kind of handy. If I demonstrate it with some music. So if I hit the record button, this will start sending this music through to the stream, so you guys will hear it. I can then adjust the volume up and down on the fly, hit it again, and it stops sending it, which is dead handy. And it's a nice alternative to a bit of hardware called the goxlr that I was looking into. But actually, at the price of that compared to this bit of hardware, the Korg nanokontrol2, cost me about £40, which compared to the goxlr is obviously a lot cheaper, and this way you actually get 5 sliders as well. So yeah, it's quite a nice alternative. I'm going to show you how to set it up. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to assume that you guys have all the drivers and everything for your particular bit of MIDI hardware. Like I say, I'm using the Korg nanokontrol2. So the first thing I actually had to do with this was open the driver window. So this is the Korg control editor, and go down to button behavior. Now, standard, for some reason, all of these buttons here are set to momentary, which if I just pop the camera back on, I will show you what that does. So momentary on the buttons basically means it will only light up. So you have to rewrite this. There we go. So it means it will only light up while your finger's actually on the button, which is fine if that's what you want. But for me, that kind of means I can't see what I've got muted, what I've got soloed, and what I've got recording. So you're going to need to go down through all of these and just click onto toggle. When you've done that, go up to communication, write scene data, and that will write everything. So now they're all toggled, which is dead handy. It means you can see what channels you've got muted, what ones you've got recording on the fly, which is, like I say, really handy. So we'll save that. So the next thing you're going to need is the software. So first thing I recommend getting is, if you go to this website, I'll link it in the description, VB Audio software. Now, all of their software is what's called donationware, so in theory you can donate as much as you want for the piece of software. The virtual cables you probably are going to need depending on how many outputs and inputs you're going to want. So the first one is free, so if you just click on install this one, you'll get 1 virtual audio cable. I've actually got 5 set up, so if you click over here, you can donate and get another 2. And then donate again and get 3 and 4. You can donate a minimum of £5 for each one. So the virtual audio cables cost me £10 in total. So if you go through and install them, it's all pretty self-explanatory. You might need to reboot once that's done. And once you've done that, if you go to open sound settings, you'll see you've got all of these extra inputs. So cable A, cable C, cable B, D, and the free one is this one, so Voicemeeter input. Okay, so you should have now 5 additional virtual cables, which you will need for this. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need is Voicemeeter. So this is the one I've used, Potato. Basically, the difference is how many channels you get. So on the first one, you only get 3 channels. On Banana, you get, a few more. Potato's the biggest one. You get loads of channels. It's got effects and things built in. You can actually record as well, which I will show you as well. So you can record something, play it back on the fly to your stream, which is very, very cool. And again, this is donationware. You can have it for 30 days for free. After that, you have got to pay for it. So it's €35. And again, install that. Once that's done, you'll have this window here. Let's just get rid of that camera. Bosh. Okay, so this is how it looks on a complete fresh install. With the difference, you won't have Discord microphone system game. It'll be hardware input 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first thing you need to do, you'll see over here hardware out. I don't know if you've never seen a mixing desk before, this might be kind of daunting, but actually if you break it down into each individual channel, it's really not that bad. So you've got the volume for each input, and then A1 to 5 is your outputs. So that's just saying where you want it to output to. So if I set my main hardware output here as I'll just have it as my headphones. Okay, so A1 is now my headphones. So if I click all of these to A1, anything that goes in there will get patched through to here and will come out through your headphones. So the next thing I will do is have a separate stream one. So we'll have A2 as, let's say, cable input A. So that's one of your virtual cables. So now anything you click to A2 will go through to your stream. If you unclick it, it's obviously not going through to your stream. So let's set your first input device. I'm only going to show this on one channel because once you've done one, you can do all of them. So I'm not going to go through and set all of these, but you can do, and I will show you my finished one, the one that I use at the end anyway. So if we have this as virtual cable B, so anything you have set now to go into virtual cable B will come in on this channel, and then depending on which output you've got it to, you'll hear it back on that thing, on that particular channel. So to send things to virtual cable B, what you need to do is open up sound settings. Now Windows 10 has brought in this outstanding feature, which is app, volume and device preferences, which means you can actually send individual programs to different outputs. So let's say here's my Spotify. If we set that to cable B output, now in theory, anything I now play through Spotify, if I hit play, you can see that is now coming through on that first channel. And it is also, like you can see, outputting to here and outputting to output B. So yeah, so that's how you set that side of it up. That's not too hard. Like I say, if you break all these down individually, they're really not that daunting. Okay, so now you've got your inputs and outputs all set up. If I just, let's play something again. Just so I can demonstrate this channel working. I know you can't hear it, but we can see that there's audio coming through there. I'll turn that down a bit. So the next thing you're going to want to do is make it so you can actually control it with your MIDI controller. So this is relatively straightforward. You need to go to the menu, go down to MIDI mapping. You'll have to select your MIDI input, so mine is the nanokontrol2. And then, so gain fader strip 1, which is going to be this one. Let's just turn on that again so that you can see what I'm doing. So if we just click learn on gain fader strip 1, just slide that, and then that's done. So now, if we close that, we can now control it with this on the fly. Great. So if we do that again for the microphone, which is gain fader strip 2. So the same again, just click learn and then tap the fader and you close that. Hey presto. Now the other thing I've got on mine is I've got my outputs. So we go back in. So our outputs are these ones over here. So we go right the way over to the end. This is gain virtual bus. No, it's not. That's these ones. Dink. So gain of bus A1. So that's this one here. So that's your headphone output. If we set that to this, and then gain of bus 2, which is this one. So that's like what's outputting to your stream. Just there. And then close that. So now we can adjust your output volumes as well. So we can adjust individual things. So let's say you had, Discord in this first channel, the game in this one, like your chatbot in this one, and then, I don't know, maybe your sound effects in this one, or song requests or something. You can adjust the volumes all individually. Obviously, I haven't set up those channels, but you get the idea. And then you can also adjust your microphone individually, just like that. And then you can set so how much is actually being sent through to the stream, which will be this one. So you can see that's doing this fader here. So you don't want your microphone going through to this fader is the only thing I'd say. You want that going through to here. So this will adjust everything but your microphone in the stream. And then on this one, you can adjust your microphone volume. So you can basically set all your levels of your different games. So if you want Discord a bit louder than your game, or you want your chatbot or music requests a little bit quieter, you can set all that here. And then with this, you can actually set the volume of all of that just in one place. So basically, once these are set, you probably don't want to touch them too often. You just want to be adjusting this in comparison to your microphone. So at the same time, you can listen back. And in theory, whatever's going through to this channel, A1, will be identical to what's going through to A2. So you can literally set your levels. You know what the people are hearing on the other end of your stream, which is good. Cool. So the only other things I've got set on mine, and these are a little bit more difficult, is these channels and mute and solo, sorry, these ones. So you can just solo that, you won't hear anything else, or that, you won't hear anything else. So you can, and you'll have to try this, because this, for some reason, doesn't work for me. You can theoretically do it on here. So mute strip 1, you can do learn, and then tap that, and solo strip 1 again, and tap your solo button. So in theory, that should work. But as you can see, it takes me about 4 clicks for it to do anything, which means the lighting ends up being out of sync, which is a pain in the ass and means I couldn't justify doing it that way. So there is another way of doing it. To clear these, you literally just click on it and it'll disappear. So there is another way of doing this. It's a little bit more of a pain in the ass, but I will show you how to do it. Once you've figured it out, it's not that bad. But the first time when I was trying to figure it out, it did my head in. So we need to open macro buttons. So if you click here, macro buttons, run on Voicemeeter start, you'll get this window pop up. The chances are it'll pop up looking like this. So you set this one macro and then you look at it and you go, well, how do I set any more? Took me a little while to figure out that you can just drag this and then you get more macro buttons. Okay, so for this first macro, we're going to call it channel 1 mute. So to figure out how to actually do these macros, I'm going to post you a link to another website, which is the manual for Voicemeeter, which is this here. It's a nice little PDF. And it actually gives you a rundown of what all the different strips are called. So strip 0, strip 1, strip 2, strip 3. The buses are A1. And it also shows you what different things you can do with it. So what we need to do is we'll do so the initial state strip, square bracket 1. So that tells it that we want to use this first strip here. And then mute with a T in it, because that's how you spell mute, equals 0. Actually, sorry, I have just done that wrong. So one thing that's a bit confusing about this is, instead of doing, for some reason for the macros, so this isn't strip 1, this is strip 0. So this is 1, and then 2, 3, 4. These are 5, 6, 7. Okay, so it's a bit confusing, but once you kind of get the hang of it, it's fine. So that's the initial state. So once you first open the program, mute will be off. It won't be muted. Obviously, if you want it muted when you first run the program, just have that as 1. So request for button on, trigger in. So you want mute 1, which means on. And then again, request for bit trigger B, you want back to 0. And then you want to click this button, learn from MIDI. Reset that. And then whichever button you want as a mute, so we want that one there. Click OK, channel on mute. So now in theory, when you click this, it should mute that channel, which it doesn't, which is fun. Love that. Okay, I've just realised what I've done wrong. Okay, fine. So we need to put a full stop in. After which strip you have, so you have full stop. It was my fault, I wasn't reading this properly. It does literally show me there. The other confusing thing, if you copy and paste this, it actually needs to be a square bracket, not a circular bracket like they've got there. Like it shows here, square brackets, shows here, square brackets. For some reason in these examples, they've not put them as square brackets. So don't copy and paste from there, because it won't work. I found that out the hard way. Okay, so now when we OK that, Voicemeeter, here's our mute button. There we go. So now we've got our macro set to mute. So it's the same for solo. You'll have to do it on a separate channel. What I will do is I will copy and paste from over here. So we'll call this channel 1 solo. Paste that in there. Change that to solo. Paste. Obviously this needs to be, you want it on. And then again, reset this. You want that set to the solo button. Okay, so then when we go back to this, we hit solo. We can see that that's soloing that. I can't leave it on because you won't be able to hear my voice, but there we go. And again, so these macros are exactly the same for each channel. The only thing you need to change is which strip number it is. So strip 1, strip 2. I'll just show you one other useful macro. So if we call this channel 1A2, why I put a 5 in there, I have no idea. And again, like I say, you want a 1 in there because you need that to turn on when you press the button and then back off when you press the button again. Hit reset, press the button you want, so you probably want the record button. And then that's that set. So now, when you hit record, you can see it's triggering whether it's sending it to channel A2 or not. So what that will do is that will essentially send it to your stream or stop sending it to your stream. Okay, and that's basically everything you need to set up on that one channel. Obviously, you need to set that up for each individual channel. I'm not going to show you how to do that because it's exactly the same. You just change which strip number you're doing it for. So what I'll do now is I will load up the setup that I actually use. Okay, so finally I just thought I'd show you my actual setup. So I've loaded the file that I use. So as you can see, I've got Discord on this first channel here. My microphone is on this, no it's not, on this channel here. I've got system and game, Spotify and chatbot, and then I'm actually using this channel over here, this Voicemeeter aux, as like song requests, which means that I can turn up and down song requests using this fader here, which is nice. And like I was saying, with the record button, so I've got all of these set so that when I hit this button, they're all now being sent through to my stream. So if I unmute this music, for example, so when I'm ready to stream, I would just hit record, and now that is being sent through to my stream. And I can adjust the volume as I want. If it's a bit too loud or a bit too quiet, I can adjust it accordingly. And again with my microphone, if it's a bit too loud, a bit too quiet, I can adjust it accordingly. Just like this. There we go. It's a bit confusing because I've got this thing upside down. I've got everything written on the side of it. I don't know if you can see there. No, possibly not. But I've got everything written on the side of this as to what each channel does for me. So I kind of recommend doing that. And yeah, so that's it really. I just mute that again. So yeah, and there you have a really nice, cheap, alright, it takes a little bit of setting up, but once it's set up, it does literally just work. I've not had any problems with it at all. And yeah, it's a great bit of kit, so go and check it out. It's the, like I say, Korg nanokontrol2, although as far as I know you can use basically any MIDI controller with this. I'm just saying this one because this is the one I've used. I've tested it and I know it works. And all in all, it was a pretty cheap setup. It's even cheaper than the goxlr Mini. Cheaper, and again, obviously you get 8 faders, 2 XLR inputs. So really, it's more kit than the goxlr2, and I highly recommend it. So I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. I'm sorry if it's hard to understand. I'm generally rubbish at explaining things, but I've tried to put it as simply as I possibly can. If you've got any questions, obviously drop me a message in the comments. Ask, I will try my best to answer them. If you're getting any problems, drop me a message. I will try and look into it and try and figure out why it's not working for you. And yeah, cheers guys. I will catch you next time.